Well, hello there. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Tiffany Jensen, and I am a licensed my name is Tiffany Jensen, and I'm a licensed professional counselor in Cincinnati, Ohio. I just became a counselor back in September. I got my license. The 3 years before that, I vlogged my grad school journey, so make sure you check that out if that sounds interesting. But today I am bringing you my 2025 year-end report. So report is an acronym. R stands for reading. So I'll be going through my StoryGraph reading wrap up. And E stands for eating. What are you eating? P stands for playing. What are you playing? For that, I will share my Spotify Wrapped. And O stands for what are you obsessed with currently? So I'll be sharing that. R, the second R stands for recommendations. So I have a recommendation I'm really excited to make. And T is how are you treating yourself? So I'm glad you're here and come along. All right, so let's get into my StoryGraph stats for the year. So I read 12 books this year, average time 24 days. I'm going to start at the beginning of the year and go backwards for the titles. First is Somewhere Beyond the Sea that I gave 3.75 stars. Color Purple, 3.75 stars. The Lost Apothecary, 4.5 stars. With Love from London, 3.75. Northanger Abbey, an Audible original drama. So I did not like Northanger Abbey. I only gave it 1 star. The Lost Apothecary, With Love from London, and Northanger were all because I took a trip to England this year, and I was kind of in a Englandy mood. Northanger Abbey was written in Bath. A lot of it takes place in Bath, England. So I had really hoped to love that one, but sorry, Jane Austen, that one did not do it for me at all. Listen for the Lie, 4.5 stars. That's a thriller. Lessons in Chemistry, 4 star. Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea, 4 stars. That one deals with a lot of perinatal stuff and addiction, which is interesting to me professionally because of my niche in counseling. All the Light We Cannot See, 2.5 stars. Never Lie, 5 stars. November 9, 4 stars. Marilla of Green Gables, 4.25 stars. So if you're an Anne of Green Gables fan, you get that. I highly recommend that one if you watched Anne of Green Gables nonstop like I did as a kid. All right, my average time to finish a book is about 24 days. I always like to say I don't have a certain number goal each year. My goal in reading is to always be able to answer the question, what are you reading now? Not to finish a certain number of days. And most years it ends up to be about 1 book a month. And see, I'm kind of all over the place with the moods of my books. So a little bit of everything, but mostly emotional. That makes sense. My pace was mostly medium, some fast, not too much slow. I tend to read at a medium pace, so I say most books are medium. Some people would probably say I read at a slow pace. Average number 300 to 499. All fiction this year, no nonfiction. Genres in literary and historical. That's kind of interesting. I don't think of me reading a lot of literary fiction this year. Mystery, classics, LGBTQ, thriller, romance, fantasy, contemporary. Okay. And then 92% audio, 8% digital. That tracks because I do almost entirely read via audio on Spotify, mostly every night when I'm doing the dishes. That is what makes that task much more bearable to me, and that is when I get my reading done. I've got 12 books, 4,238 pages, average rating of 3.75 stars. And I will add too that I am reading Frederick Bachman's My Friends right now. I can totally see why people love his writing and those books. It's great. It is a little slow going for me and much more character driven than what I typically go for, but I can see why people love it. So that is my reading wrap up for 2025. For the eating category this year, I am eating lots of leftovers for the first time in my life. And I know that sounds silly, but it's going to really tie into some of my recommendations that I have later in the video. I think the first time last year I talked about sourdough and how I was baking lots of sourdough. That is still true, but this year I have really taken my meal planning to the next level and learned how to freeze food in a way that I will actually remember to use it, and have really reduced food waste, and so I'm really proud of that. All right, here we go into Spotify Wrapped. Let's go. I've watched this once when it first came up, but not in a while. And we counted. Oh, do I have to swipe up each time? Okay. 36,162 minutes, 25 days. Very nice. Tastes like yours can't be defined, but let's try anyway. 134 genres. Soft pop, musicals, lullabies, oldies, lo-fi. Age is just a number, so don't take this personally. Let's see how old my music taste is. 58. That's hilarious. Since I am into music from the early 80s, you're an old soul. I do love 80s. I was born in the early 80s. 830 songs. What was my number one? I don't remember. Make your pick. Ooh, Adele, Drink Wine, Tolerate It, Someone Like You, Pink Pony Club, Your Idol. Oh gosh. Your Idol is strictly because of my kids. It could be any of these other ones, but I feel like I was in a big Pink Pony Club. Ah, Someone Like You. Really? That surprises me. Okay. Still love that song. Pink Pony Club was the second. Tolerate It for Taylor Swift, that surprises me. I like that song a lot, but I don't feel like I seek it out to listen to very often. Okay. 6 albums. I don't listen to a lot of different albums. Hamilton. Life of a Showgirl, K-Pop Demon Hunters, Wicked, and Man's Best Friend. I still don't think I've even heard all of that album. Once Upon a Time, There Was a Book Lover. It Was You. Yep. 7 audiobooks. I thought it was going to be more than that. 595 artists this year. How have I listened to that many artists, but only, 6 albums? I don't know. Okay, Taylor Swift, not surprising. 0.2% fan. 12,238 minutes. Taylor Swift, Lin-Manuel Miranda, Leslie Odom Jr., Hamilton, and Adele. That tracks. Oh, hey, Taylor. Thanks for talking to me. All right, so that was my Spotify wrap for what I played this year. O stands for obsessed. What have I been obsessed with recently? All things kitchen gear, which is pretty similar to all the past years. It's like a weird hobby of mine. Like, I love kitchen gear, kitchen things. That's where I am happiest. And I have been really obsessed with stand mixers. I have not bought a new stand mixer. I have one of the cheaper KitchenAid stand mixers from when I got married 16 years ago. And it works fine, but it's not a very powerful one. And I really, really, really want an absurdly expensive stand mixer called an Ankarstrom from Sweden, because now I've gone down the rabbit hole of Ankarstrom, I think that's how you say it, mixers, and that's what I want. It is so much money. I do not really need a mixer that powerful. I do not make that much with the stand mixer I have now, but I want it. And that is what I have been obsessed with. I have gone down rabbit holes of the difference between them. I have learned how much better at bread than the KitchenAids are. It's been like my thing. So obsession is stand mixers that I don't need. All right, and then for my R, my second R, which is a recommendation, speaking of kitchen gear that I'm obsessed with, I've also been obsessed with something called Super Cubes. Now, Super Cubes is the name brand of this. This is a cheaper Costco set. Now, I do feel like a little bit of a traitor. I really, really want to continue to use the Super Cube brand because it is a great company, small business, and the owners lost their house in the LA fires earlier this year, and I really want to continue to support that company. And I could not resist the price on this 5-pack of the freezer trays at Costco, which do a similar thing, although they are not as sturdy. Basically, Super Cubes, or these silicone freezer trays, are ways that you can freeze leftovers, or not leftovers, you can freeze anything you want, in small individual sized portions. So these are the 1 cup portions. The reason I really wanted to pick up this Costco set is because they are much shorter than the Super Cube brand and fit in the cupboard where I want to keep them much better. So that's another reason that I switched. Yeah, these are the 1 cup. The set comes with 2 1-cup ones, so a total of 8 cups. So a 4 1 cup. Oh my gosh. 1 tray with 4 1 cups, and there's 2 of these trays in each kit. And then 2 2-cup ones. So this fits 2. These are great for like layered casseroles or something like that. And then there's also a 1/2 cup. These are little rectangular 1/2 cup ones. And it's just really cool to be able to freeze things in small amounts and just take out a little bit at a time. Take a look at how I use these. This has revolutionized how I meal prep and cook and has reduced my food waste by a lot. Well, don't mind the mess behind me, but I wanted to show you how I use those Super Cubes that I talked about, because I thought that might help understand, okay, what is it really? So this is actually what I have in my freezer right now that I had frozen in those Super Cubes. So I've got 1 block of broccoli cheddar soup left. I had much more than that, but we've eaten through a good amount of it. I've got 2 blocks of Italian wedding soup. My husband's been going through those like crazy. We had a lot more of that. This is a block of stroganoff. So far, this has all been the 1 cup ones. This is Sloppy Joe meat. And then what's interesting with Sloppy Joe is I also have a bunch of 1/2 cup cubes of just the sauce. The reason I'm doing that is one of my kids really likes Sloppy Joe, but doesn't like a lot of other things that we make, especially with ground beef, or just in general, really. But So the last time I made Sloppy Joe, I made double the sauce, but just the regular amount of meat. So that next time I'm making a different ground beef recipe that's not Sloppy Joe, I can take out just a cupful of the meat before I put whatever sauce I'm making for that meal for everybody, and just heat up the sauce so that he can have his own thing that he likes. There's a safe food for him. So I'm really excited about that. And then this is actually leftover Chipotle rice. So that's another thing you can do with this, is you can actually freeze like takeout leftovers just the same as you would other leftovers. And then I'm going to grab what's actually in the super cubes right now from my freezer. So hang tight. Now I do recommend labeling these when you put them in. Don't think that you're going to remember, because you might not. Like, I don't remember right now, and I didn't label them. So, okay, I remember now. But this is just cooked chicken, shredded cooked chicken. I was making a sheet pan meal of Caesar chicken for the people in the family who would like a saucy, kind of fancy version, and then just some plain seasoned chicken for those who would not like such a thing. And then in this half cup one, I've got rice. So this I just have is only half full, so that's like a quarter cup of rice. Then this is the half cup freezer tray. So this is great, because then that stroganoff that is frozen, I really like that better with something. So I can thaw some stroganoff and some rice, and there's my lunch. So you can do, of course, like soups, like Super Cubes says, the name implies, but you can also do components like the Sloppy Joe sauce, the rice, and then some people call it Lego lunches. They kind of take all these components and kind of put together your own lunch. We eat these a lot on the weekends when I'm not necessarily cooking a big meal for everybody. I do these during the week if I'm working from home a bit. You could take these to work also. I have the added complication of my job I don't have access to a microwave or fridge, and so I am really limited to like school type lunches that I can bring. So I don't usually bring these with me, but if I had access to a microwave, I definitely could do that. So that's how I use these. I hope that was helpful. All right, and then for how I am treating myself, how I've treated myself this year. This month specifically, I have treated myself by going to experience musicals live in theater. When I was in Chicago for my graduation in December, I took my daughter to see Six, and I loved that. It was so fantastic. It was really, really good. So we went to see Six, and then a couple weeks later, just this winter break on December 23rd, there was a weekday matinee showing of Hamilton in Cincinnati, where I live, and the prices were really great for that weekday matinee show that was during winter break. And I got second row seats for Hamilton for me and my daughter, and it was incredible. You could see their sweat, their spit, their tears. It was fantastic. So that is how I have been treating myself recently. Life is good, and I really thank you for coming along on this year-end report.